everyone, and welcome to Community Connection, your window to the world around you. Today, we are joined in the studio with our Chief of Police in Dearborn Heights, Lee Gavin, and the Dearborn Police Department Chief, Ronald Haddad. Welcome, gentlemen, to Community Connection.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us today. So many things have been happening in and around our country and within our cities, and I know our two police departments collaborate quite a bit, and so we want to talk about that collaboration. Chief Haddad, you just had a press conference very recently, and you talked about different perpetrators within the area and some information that you wanted the media and the community to know about. Tell us a little bit about that press conference, the information that you shared, and also the specific incident with the video that you shared at that press conference, which made the news.
Okay, you know, we try to stay transparent with our community.
Absolutely.
Because an educated community is a safer community. So we had a series of high-profile cases that involved serial criminals, which means that they had many crimes, and they impacted both of our cities. One in particular was a ring of about 20 to 25 young people that were committing B&Es in both of our cities. So Chief Gavin and I...
Breaking and entering.
Breaking and entering, home invasions. And they did it between the hours of 3 and 7. They went to school, and then they came home.
These are school-age kids.
They're school-age. And, you know, the sad part was that most of them were doing fairly well in school. They were two-parent households, and some of them were pretty good athletes. So we put
It was a gang mentality kind of thing.
Yeah, you know, certainly, yeah. They had a crime mentality. So the chief and I, we devised a plan using our joint resources to identify them. We have 8 major cases pending against 8 of them, and are being held at the youth home. The Wayne County prosecutor, Kim Worthy, assigned a special prosecutor to those cases so that they're handled at the highest level. And we've also put the parents on notice that parental responsibility violations and charges will be brought if any of these children are caught committing crimes again. And you know, I can't emphasize enough that both of our detective bureaus and our special operations, which are undercover operations, worked hand in hand to you know, break into this ring. And they weren't only victimized in Dearborn and Dearborn Heights, they were also getting some of the adjoining neighborhoods as well. So,
Chief Gavin, what was Dearborn Heights' position on this, and how did you feel with the collaboration and the results of actually incarcerating these perpetrators?
You know, we've always had a great working relationship with Dearborn. You know, our detective officers, our detectives are in touch with Dearborn officers and detectives on a daily basis. Our crime prevention officer, Mark Pernello, that we talk about a lot on these programs, he's always in touch with them whenever he's got some evidence, let it be some fingerprints or something to that type. Dearborn's always very receptive to help us out. He'll take the items there, and within a day or so they get the results back to him, let it be fingerprints, let it be fingerprint IDing fingerprints. So we work hand in hand, especially with their lab. But when there's activities like Chief Haddad was saying, crime has no borders. Crime,
absolutely,
they'll go wherever. So since we're a border city with Dearborn, a lot of our crime is committed also in Dearborn by the same people. So this specific one with the B&Es, you know, we've had a rash of the home breaking and enterings. You know, we worked, they identified the subjects, and like Chief Haddad said, we were able to get them arrested.
And were these the same individuals who were actually breaking into the homes while the homeowners are present? Or is that a different...
You know,
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. I don't know for sure on this one, but we do get, you know, a lot of the repeat offenders. But these that were arrested, I don't know exactly, you know, which B&Es they did in our city.
Okay, because that's I mean, if you're going to be robbed, you don't want to be there. But there's some absolute,
right,
you know, focus on robbing people during the day while they're in their home, and that's really scary.
That is, because it just raises the chance that somebody can get hurt. And I think with this group here, there was only one instant where somebody was home,
okay,
and they either screamed or called the police, and the people ran off. And you know, there was always a different combination of these 25 working together, you know, to do it.
Sure.
And I don't want to go into any of the details that will be presented in court, but you know, they were still working in concert, although obviously 25 people didn't break into one home at a time.
Absolutely. I want to talk a little bit about, again, the press conference that you had in the video that you showed. It was an individual that was being stopped for a minor traffic incident, and it could have escalated to something major. Your police officer showed quite a restraint in dealing with this individual. Tell us about that, and tell us what the message is that you give your officers in the morning when they go out there on the streets.
Right. You know, it was a seatbelt safety zone that was set up, well documented, and it's, you know, they put up signs so that the citizens can know what's happening. And it's the philosophies for compliance,
Safety.
and you know, education.
Right.
Yep.
And enforcement is really a last step, but you have great discretion in those zones, and I think it's important that we understand that. And he did stop a gentleman that was less than happy about the stop, and the officer couldn't get a word in edgewise to explain to him, you know, how he was detected with the violation. And it escalated on the driver's side, but the officer maintained his cool, and this went on for like 10 or 12 minutes. And we train our officers to de-escalate, to you know, step back and understand that people might be upset, and to just be as civil and as polite as possible. And I think that everybody would agree who saw that video that the officer was all of those things. He was civil, he was professional, he was firm, and he did nothing to escalate the problem or provoke it. So we're proud of that, and we hold our men and women in both of our departments to a real high standard of conduct, and I think that it's important when they do the right thing that we also put it out there.
And you said something earlier that was real important. You said the officers are trained to face these issues on a daily basis, but the individuals that are actually stopped don't know how to handle themselves very well. What is your experience with this?
No, like Chief Haddad said on prior occasions, you know, we train to deal with the public. The public doesn't train to deal with a policeman. They don't know that they're going to get stopped today by a police officer. And like we said earlier, we're working, you know, both departments and the police departments around the country, professionalism and patience. Right now in these times, it's very difficult being a police officer. And we're stressing to our officers, keep your patience, keep your professionalism. Nowadays, when the officers are walking up to houses when they're called on a report run or on traffic stops, the people have cameras, videos. Officers are constantly being, you know, video cameraed or audio recorded. So you go up on a house now, and if it's a domestic or some type of issue, one party is recording you. On a traffic stop, you walk up to the car on a traffic stop, and they have the phone out of the car, filming you, everything you say, everything you do. That puts a lot of pressure on the officer. He's doing his job. He's trying to be professional. He's trying to be safe. He's trying to keep the person he stopped or the people he's dealing with safe too. So it's just in this day and age, you got to have patience and you got to be very professional out there. We all know the officers have microphones, the officers have cameras. Now the citizens are filming the officers, and it puts a lot of stress on the officer.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
As you see through most of these, they're acting professional. Every now and then, maybe an officer says something, but if they are, they're disciplined, and we put it in context. But we try to stress professionalism and safety, and it's just a tough time now being a police officer.
It absolutely is, and you are what keeps the community between crime and safety, and so, you know, definitely heroes and police officers need to be celebrated, but yet the perception right now is very different, very shady in regards to
Anti-police right now.
Anti-police, and that really doesn't make sense. That does not make sense, because there are a few incidences that have happened, and they are being highlighted more so than the incidences that on a daily basis, you know, nationwide, where crime is being deterred. Body cams. where are we with body cams? I know that the discussion is quite frequent right now. I mean, economics, budgets,
You know,
practicality.
Right. Body cams are coming, and you know, some of these incidents around the country add like emotional steam to the discussion. But the reality is that technology has been developed and being developed for the last several years, and it's going to be the next evolution of our video across the country. And I personally don't have a problem with it, because if the truth is captured, so be it. You know, and Chief Gavin mentioned people pulling out their phones, and we fall prey to edited versions on YouTube. So the truth is the truth, and I have no problem with it. And like you mentioned, there's video everywhere. And you know, the average American is videoed about 38 times a day, and they don't even know it, don't even think about it, whether you go through McDonald's drive-thru, whether you go to the bank, whether you go visit somebody at the hospital, you drive by 6 of your neighbors' homes that all have video. So
There's no privacy.
there's no
anymore.
privacy.
You
The
can't
video
get away
is
with
here,
anything.
and you know, the courts and those that set public policy will tell us where the propriety lines are drawn with body cams, but I have no worry about that. That's going to be figured out. But they're going to be part of our everyday equipment.
And you're right. It makes more sense instead of a he said, she said kind of thing. You know, visuals don't lie. Well, at least non-edited versions don't. I know the collaborations between the two cities have been phenomenal on almost every level. You know, Dearborn Heights, sister cities, basically. There's a new initiative that is on the table as well, and you gave me the correct title, which is Regional Dispatch Center Consolidation.
Yes.
Did I get that right?
That's
Okay. Talk to us about that. I know Dearborn is on board 100% in following through. And
In Dearborn Heights, we're going in that direction. Sure, the final say is going to come down. It's going to be a vote by the council. We'll let Chief Haddad talk a little bit more, but we're working with them to get a joint dispatch. Right now, we employ dispatchers. They employ dispatchers. We would look to combine dispatch services, and Dearborn would take over the dispatching for us. Sure, there'll be a fee that Dearborn Heights would have to vote on and accept, and then Dearborn would employ the dispatchers, and they would run the dispatch system. I'll let him explain, but they're coming up with an area where they're going to put a new dispatch center, and combined dispatch is a trend in the future. It's done a lot more in the fire service right now, but there's a lot of communities. You go out Washtenaw County, they have a combined dispatch. Different areas, Oakland County, where they might dispatch for a county, a city, a college. So that's a trend, so we're looking at that. It's in the progressing stage right now, and Chief Haddad knows a little bit more about how far they're progressing.
all right, and economically speaking, it
Yeah,
sounds pretty good for
should
Dearborn
be
Heights too.
a financial, savings for
Boost.
both communities.
Absolutely. So what does the dispatch service actually entail?
Right. You know, it would entail providing service to all of our regional partners that choose to be a part of it. But the important key here is we're going to enhance the service so that, it's more.
So it's a 911 kind of
It's
thing.
a 911, and it's a police dispatch and a fire dispatch and a fire rescue dispatch. And we
combined.
also, a big component of that is to have interoperability with some of our big private sector partners. For example, if somebody at a car dealership calls in a 911 call, and there's a guy with a gun standing in the showroom, they could have a real-time video sent to the dispatch center, and we're also going to set up a emergency operations center within our dispatch center, which if any city individually has a major emergency, we can coordinate the response. Or if the region has like a tornado or something, power outage like we had a few years back that impact everybody, we'll set up immediately. And we're going to set it up in such a way that it'll be run, in case all the power goes out, we'll have alternative energy sources. And the key is that it puts us at a much higher level of service to our community and officer safety alike. And we currently have secured about $4 million in grants, and Ford Motor Company has said, I can say this, they've written a check and they're looking to write another one, and it's a pretty sizable check, and we haven't done anything yet. So they believe so much in the project that they put their money right
That's
up front.
wonderful.
So, you know,
Wonderful.
it's about keeping all of our communities safer, and, you know, there's a duplication of service that we really don't have the luxury of doing anymore as a smaller city or even a larger city. You know, you have whole counties that are joining for dispatch services. You know, so it's a great idea, and its time has come, and our aim is to make sure that we're looking forward so that people in the future will have a better service.
It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense.
Another example would be just with our fire service, our fire department and Dearborn Fire Departments. They purchase gas at a combined effort, and then their fire trucks come over to our fire station and gas up. So instead of each fire station having to purchase gas, you know what, you combine it, and one station makes a purchase, probably get the gas for a cheaper amount, and then I always see the Dearborn fire trucks over at our station gassing up. So, you know, there's more and more services that the cities are starting to share. Our IT work is now done contracted through Dearborn. So if we have an issue with our computers or some IT issues, the Dearborn IT people come over in our city and help us out. So, you know,
It
like
makes
Chief was
economical
saying,
sense,
right.
definitely, without a doubt.
You know, combined services is a trend of the future. It's here now, and you're going to see more and more amongst all these communities.
Well, it's common sense.
It's-
Common sense. Chief, the community policing model program that you have instilled within Dearborn has gotten national recognition, and it is a model for a lot of the different cities within our country. Talk to us about that, and I know that you also visited Washington and met with Joe Biden, you know, talking about counterterrorism and how to implement that model to Dearborn and other cities within the country. Tell us about that.
Right, you know,
That's exciting. I mean,
it's
you know,
exciting,
our
and
own
it's highly
chief.
complex, and you know, Chief Gavin and I do not take for granted, because our region is really fortunate that we have this great community engagement. And I've seen memos that were sent out of the White House, and they said, you are the exception and not the rule. And we just, you know, briefed the president on some of your programs. So we are the exception, and
It's quite an honor.
So it is an honor, and it's something that we can never take for granted as leaders of our departments, because that will demand that we stay true to our mission and truthful to the citizens and build the trust. And a couple of the things that, among many, we've developed an intervention model where if somebody fears that, and mostly young people, because that's been, you know, the trend, if they have somebody that's isolated themselves from their family, if their habits have changed, if they have, you know, discussed acts of violence, if they've taken up an interest in weapons and so on, we've put a team together to go intervene and not wait until a crime is committed. And we've had four.
So prevention.
Yeah, very much so. And that's taken on national attention. And there was an article in the Wall Street Journal recently, and it said that something to the effect that the Obama administration is warming up to this idea of intervention. And I guess that's how they see how the rest of the country feels about it. But the thing is that we can't wait for somebody to decide to blow up a marathon or shoot a congresswoman on the street corner or go to a show. And in every one of those cases, there was a lot of common elements. Somebody knew about them, somebody failed to take action to diffuse the situation, and none of those people had criminal records. So don't blame the police for that, because all of those people, be it Sandy Hook, be it Aurora, be it Tucson, none of them had criminal records. So Chief Gavin and I could not have done anything without somebody coming to us and ask for intervention. And in the city of Dearborn, we've had 4 cases in the last 2 years involving that age group, and they were high schoolers, and we were able to intervene, take the weapons away in some cases. One case was, he was pretty much committed verbally to go and fight on the foreign fighter side of the house, and the FBI did something with that. We don't know exactly what, but we were told about 4 hours later, come and get this young man and take him to children's psych unit. So, there's always that tinge of mental fitness that's involved. And if you can get to the front of it before we have a disaster, you won't hear about it on the 6 o'clock news, but certainly it would save a lot of lives.
So really community and family need to keep their eyes and ears open for different characteristics within family members or friends. In Dearborn Heights, what is our policy? What do we have in place in order to, in regards to having that communication within the community and and I know,
Yeah.
many of this is
Again, all the
common
police
ground.
agencies, we need our citizens to come forth and give us some information. We don't know everything that's going on out there. Somebody always sees something and says something, knows something. That's when you got to call the local authorities. Let it be a local police, county, the FBI. There's information out there, and people know they have to bring it forth to the law enforcement agencies. When we get it, then we can work on it. We have partners in the, in the federal officers assigned to terrorism task force. Our agency does. I know Dearborn does. So we have the officers in the right areas where we can go to if we have the information.
How do you filter that information? How do you know whether something is tangible for you to actually act on it and go out there, or something that is soft? I mean, is there a criteria, or is everything tangible at this point?
There's no set criteria, but it's clear. If somebody's violated the law already, then it's a pretty clear-cut
Right.
case on the direction.
But without that
you have
background.
to you do a review of the facts, and the key is to intervene. And we depend on our schools and like Access and the ACC, the behavioral clinics there. They both have people that we can reach out to. And there's other times when we use our caseworkers for domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as a crime has not been committed yet, you still have that option to do an intervention, get counseling for the family, for the member involved. And it's really not a blurry line. If there's no crime committed, then the course is pretty obvious. We take people to the psych unit for a 72-hour evaluation on a regular basis, and this is just along those lines, but it kind of involves the young person, and at times families are reluctant to call the police because they know that's not going to give a solution to their problem.
But there's a fine line between having that hunch or having someone actually come in and say, we believe this person has an issue, this person may be violent. So how do you act upon that and make sure that there's no, the civil liberties, and not going over
You
someone's
get the
civil
information
rights?
and then you investigate. There's tools that the investigators use. You look into someone's background and see if they have some prior issues, mental
criminal.
issues, criminal issues, their past criminal history. The important thing is the old verbiage, the eyes and ears of the community. We need them to bring it forth to us. Once we get that information, we have the professionals in place that will try to decipher that and see if that person is a threat. If we need to go deeper to get the federal agencies, to get psychologists involved, then we do. But we need the information. We need it from the citizens. Send it forth to us, and then we can use our professionals and move forward.
Bridges has been around, and I know both of you are very familiar with that, for many, many, many years. And it has, through the time that I've been involved at the onset, has created that conversation between community and federal government and law enforcement. How effective do you feel Bridges has been, and do you feel like it's progressed through the years in defining its effectiveness for community and for law enforcement?
Yeah, I think it has. I think it's very effective because at the very minimal, it educates our community and all the law enforcement agencies at all levels on what the community's needs are. So I think I sat back and listened to some of those very heated but well orchestrated,
very heated,
yeah, on immigration issues, and it was clear that on both sides we learn something. And you know, the thing about the surnames and how a lady
Sure.
was held 2 days in a row for 8 hours and it turned out to be the wrong lady, well, that complaint caused the Border Patrol to revamp their whole system. So, you know, we learn from one another. And I think sometimes when you demystify and gain some understanding, it just kind of makes things go a whole lot smoother. And,
Absolutely.
you know, we're here to serve our communities, serve the country, and we need to be good listeners. And just because somebody's complaining, it doesn't mean that we can't learn from them. And I would trust that if the community had the same outlook, we'd all be better off for it.
One message to give to our communities and our audience about safety, about community, and about that very important bond between community and law enforcement. What would be your message?
You know, the message to our community is we're here to serve you. Sure, we get a lot of negative, you know, from the residents will call, hey, I called dispatch, they didn't take us serious, this and that. You know what, we have to remember, our dispatchers are taking, they're trained to prioritize the information coming in. So if there's some serious incidences going on and you call in and it's not too serious, they're going to put you on the back of the priority. They're going to get back to you, but just don't get discouraged. If for some reason you get disconnected, call back. We need the community to work with us. Like we said earlier, crime doesn't stop along Evergreen Road. It goes into Dearborn, it comes from Detroit in here. Crime is all over, but we have to work together, each community, with our citizens to pass the information on to us. You see something that doesn't appear right, call us, and we'll look into it. This day and age, you know, departments are busy and we prioritize the importance of the runs, but we're there to serve the community.
Chief, given the atmosphere within the country about police officers, there's bad apples anywhere, within any communities, within any professional realm. What would be your advice to those police officers that are facing this every day, putting their lives on the line? Unfortunately, because of certain incidences, there's a lot more danger out there. What would be your advice to them?
Right, you know, first of all, I think as a chief, I have to make sure that our department is right, and I have to make sure that the 1/10 of 1% that don't do right, that we handle that in a transparent way so that citizens feel that if they have a legitimate grievance, it'll be answered in real time. And 99.9% of the officers come to work and do a great job, and we need to all support them. The community, the chief, our political bodies, we need to support them because it is a tough job out there. And you know, no matter how bad somebody feels about the police, tonight at 3 o'clock in the morning, when you hear that strange noise in your backyard,
You're going to call 911.
you're going to call us. On Christmas morning, when you look up and think somebody's tampered with your car, you're going to call us. And that's what we're here for. We are one of the only businesses that never close 365 days a year. So we just want to continually gain the trust and of the community, and we want to serve them to the utmost of our ability. And in return, I want the community to support the police.
Absolutely, and definitely there's quite a balance. Very well said, the both of you. Thank you so much. Chief Haddad, thank you for being here and
My pleasure.
for your comments and your wisdom, and thank you,
Thank
Chief
you.
Gavin. Two gentlemen in uniform protecting us on a daily basis with the entire police department, Dearborn Heights. We thank you, and thank you for joining us today on Community Connection.